Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Jane D. Asusana, and my topic is all about forest policy and external pressure. So, this chapter discusses how government policies and outside factors affect forests and forest management. It explains the importance of proper planning, conservation, and sustainable use of forest resources. The lesson also highlights how economic, social, and environmental pressures influence decision making and forestry. So, what is a forest policy? So, a forest policy is a set of rules, guidelines, and action created by governments, organizations, or individuals to properly manage and protect forest resources. These policies help ensure that the forests are used responsibly while also protecting the environment, wildlife, and people who depend on forests. So aside from a forest policy, let me define also the what is a policy. So a policy serve as a guide or plan that people follow to achieve a specific goals or desirable outcomes. In forestry, these goals may include conserving forests, preventing illegal logging, protecting wildlife habitats, and ensuring sustainable use of natural resources. The slide also explains that a forest policy is a purposeful action or decision related to forest management. It can be created by a government agency, organization, or even individuals who are concerned about the proper use of forest resources. Lastly, the slide emphasizes that a forest policy can range from very simple action to very complex programs. For example, a simple forest policy could be locking the gate after leaving a forest area to prevent authorized access rather. So, a more complex forest policy could involve protecting the habitat of endangered species and maintaining biodiversity through long-term conservation programs. So overall, forest policies are important because they help balance human needs with environmental protection, ensuring that forests remain healthy and available for future generations. So now let's move forward to the next slide, which is the purpose of forest policy. So the purpose of forest policy is to regulate forest resource use and prevent overexploitation, to protect biodiversity and ecosystem service, to balance economic development with environmental protection, to ensure long-term sustainability. So forest policies are created to prevent the overuse and destruction of forests. They help protect biodiversity, wildlife, and ecosystem services while supporting economic development. Their main goal is to ensure forests remain productive and sustainable for future generations. So the next one is the key components of forest policy: legal framework, laws and regulations, institutional structures, government agencies, economic tools, taxes and incentives, social considerations, community rights, and participation. So, forest policies include several important parts such as laws, government agencies, economic programs, and social considerations. Legal frameworks establish rules while institutions rather enforce them. Economic tools like taxes and incentives encourage proper forest use, and social aspect ensures community participate in forest management. Types of forest policy. First is the conservation policies, protect ecosystem and wildlife. These policies focus on preserving forests, wildlife, and biodiversity. The next one is the production policies, focus on timber and forest products. So they regulate the harvesting and production of forest products. The third one is the protection policies, prevent deforestation and degradation. These policies reduce deforestation, illegal logging, and land degradation. The last one for the types of forest policy is the social policies, support local and indigenous community. They protect the rights and livelihoods of indigenous and local people. Government and forest management. Government control public forest lands. They enforce laws and regulate private forest use. They develop programs for conservation. They cooperate with international organizations. So government play a major role in managing forests because they regulate public lands and enforce environmental laws. They also create conservation and reforestation programs. In many cases, government work with international organizations to improve forest sustainability. So now let's move forward to the external pressure defined. So external pressures are outside forces that impact. This can be human-driven or natural. They influences forest condition, management, and policy decisions. So, internal pressures are factors outside the forest system that affect forests and forest management. These pressures may come from humans, nature, or economic activities. They influence the condition of forests and often force governments to change policy and management strategies. So for the next slide is the population growth pressure. So growing population increase demand for land and resources. Forests are converted into agricultural and residential, leads to deforestation and habitat loss. So as the population increases, more lands and resources are needed for housing, agriculture, and industries. Because of this, many forests are cleared and converted into farms or residential areas. This leads to deforestation and loss for wildlife. So, kay ang ato ang population is gagrow man, so many daw many because kanang daghan daw nga mga kahoy ang putlon because kay tungod man gadaghan ang population nato diri so mas nadaghan pod ang need sa mga resources nga like sa housing, sa agriculture and industry. So uh, tungod daw ani daghan daw nga forest ang na-cleared and converted into farms or residential areas. This leads kani po siya as na-lead po siya sa deforestation and habitat loss for wildlife. Economic pressure on forests. First is the higher demand for timber, fuel wood, and paper products. Second is the expansion of agricultural and industries. The third one is the global trade increases resource extraction. The last one is the risk of unsustainable practices. So this explains forests provide valuable products such as timber, fuel, wood, and paper. The increasing demand for these products can result in excessive logging and resource extraction. Economic activities may improve income, but unsustainable practices can damage forests and ecosystems. Political and institutional pressure. Government policies can either protect or harm forests. Weak enforcement leads to illegal logging. Political instability can result in poor forest management. Government decisions and political system greatly affect forest protection. Weak law enforcement may allow illegal logging and forest destruction. Political instability can also reduce the effectiveness of forest management programs and conservation efforts. So for the next slide is the environmental pressures. Includes wildfire, storms, droughts, pests, and diseases. Climate change intensify the threats, impact forest health and regeneration. So forests are affected by natural disasters and environmental problems such as wildfires, storms, droughts, pests, and diseases. Climate change makes the threats more severe. This pressure can destroy forests and reduce their ability to regenerate. So the next one is the climate change impact. First, change in temperature and rainfall patterns. Increased frequency of extreme weather events affects forest growth, species distribution, and survival. So, climate change rainfall patterns and increases temperatures, affecting forest growth and survival. Extreme weather events such as typhoons, droughts, and heat waves become more frequent. Many plant and animal species may struggle to adapt to this environmental change. Urbanization and land use change. Expansion of cities reduces forest areas. Infrastructure's development replaces forests, leads to fragmentation of ecosystem. So, urbanization causes forests to be cleared for roads, buildings, and infrastructure. As cities expand, forest ecosystem become fragmented and smaller. This negatively affects biodiversity and reduces the environmental benefits provided by forests. Globalization and trade. International demand increases pressure on forests. Export of forest products drive deforestation. Requires global cooperation for sustainable practices. So global trade increases the demand for forest products worldwide. Many countries export timber and other forest resources to international markets. Without proper regulations, globalization can contribute to deforestation and unsustainable forest exploitation. Sustainable forest management, or the SFM, approach to balance environmental, economic, and social goals, maintain forest health and productivity, ensures benefits for future generations. So, sustainable forest management aims to balance environmental protection, economic growth, and social welfare. It ensures forests remain healthy and productive while meeting human needs. SFM promotes responsible use of resources for present and future generations. International forest initiatives. Global agreements promote sustainable forestry. Countries work together to reduce deforestation. Example includes sustainable development goals and programs. Different countries cooperate through international agreements on programs to protect forests. These initiatives aim to reduce deforestation and encourage sustainable forestry practices. Global partnerships are important in addressing environmental challenges that affect forests worldwide. Challenges and forest policy. So the first one is conflicts between economic growth and conservation, limited resources for enforcement, differences in national priorities, and the last one is the climate change uncertainties. So forest policies face many challenges such as conflicts between economic development and conservation. Limited funding and weak law enforcement can make policies difficult to implement. Climate change and differing national priorities also create additional challenge. So for the last slide is the future of forest management. Focus on sustainability and conservation, use of technology in monitoring forests, greater public awareness and participation, stronger international cooperation. So the future of forest management focuses on sustainability, conservation, and the use of modern technology. Tools such as satellite monitoring and digital mapping help improve forest protection. Public awareness and international cooperation are also becoming more important. So, for my conclusion, forest policies are essential for protecting and managing forest resources responsibly. However, forests continue to face many external pressures from human activities and environmental changes. Effective forest management requires cooperation, proper policies, and sustainable practices to protect forests for future generations. And that would be all. Thank you for listening and mabuhay.